All right, it's about 9:31 a.m. on Pacific Coast time on March 3rd, 2024. My sister's birthday is today, and my sister was an amazing person. I lost my parents when I was 16, and my 25-year-old sister stepped up to the plate and agreed to be my legal guardian, so I didn't have to go live with my 3-star general uncle who had retired in North Carolina. So I was extremely thankful that she took that on, and she was quite the like a human angel in terms of all of the things that she did to help me when I made mistakes in my life. And anyway, just wanted to reminisce on what a great person she was and still is. I don't believe that people die when their body dies. So, I think that we go to some other plane or other, this might be a simulation. Let's face it. Elon Musk has said that it's likely to be a simulation, if you can trust him. Then there's Bill Gates, I think, has said it's likely a simulation. So, people that seem to know a lot about technology seem to think that it's a simulation. I kind of buy into that possibility more and more because there are a lot of things that don't add up around us, and for some reason they happen a certain way. So I don't know. There might be people tampering with timelines. It's really hard to say. But anyway, back to my sister. As far as just a great person, she figured out how to get a multi-purpose room in a school here in Northern California. And she had to go through hoops, but she did it. And so very capable woman, speech pathologist by trade, but extraordinary sister. So anyway, I got lucky on that, and I really do. She passed, I think, in 2003, and I miss her deeply, but I'm sure she's in good shape wherever she is. All right, what else is on my mind today? Well, it's cold in Sacramento for March 3rd. Chilly. Like snow level, like maybe 1,000 feet right now because it's so cold. We're supposed to get a storm come through around 11. So when that happens, I don't know, maybe there'll be a lot more snow. We're having a lot of snow up in the Sierras. You know how the news media loves to make everything into fear porn by making it sound like the sky is falling continuously, or in this case, the rain is falling continuously and the snow is falling continuously. But anyway, I don't think that it's bad to have a lot of water. I would rather have a little too much water than not enough. I'm not talking flooding, but I do like some water. I like things to be green, and I can't stand scarcity. I think scarcity is equal to fear in my mind. So to me, it's like there should be abundance, in this world. There's no reason not to have abundance, and to think that there's a lack of water is so ridiculous, because all we have to do is desalinate the oceans if we need to get more water, and we would have all the water we possibly need, so everybody can have a nice garden and green all around wherever we want it, and basically an oasis, and the main reason that hasn't happened, let's face it, is the power issue. Okay, power is a big deal, on every level. But in the physical world, I would have to say that electrical power is a big deal. It basically runs the whole place. And if we don't have it, people are pretty much helpless. So we've become completely dependent on it, the power grid, and they've purposely centralized it, which really you would think people would wake up to that. We need to go off of the power grid. I mean, in my belief, and I'm not just talking off the top of my head, I have relatives that were high up in the military, and I can just tell you that we've had technology that's far more advanced than anybody could possibly imagine, and especially in regards to energy. So this idea that we need fossil fuel or that we need lithium batteries or any of that stuff is completely bogus, and harmful to the earth in both cases. So, I mean, I'd much rather see a situation where we have our own power generated at our location so that you could live anywhere you want, no power lines anywhere, so you would have beauty. I mean, I don't know about you guys, I don't like looking at cement and asphalt and one strip mall after another, and then no trees, and everybody's trying to fit houses into spaces that are closer and closer together, so they have no yard, no garden, no ability to garden. It's all bad. I like the idea of like an acre or more, where you could like have a big garden in the back, maybe some fruit trees, and then have some privacy from, I don't know if anybody ever remembers the TV show Bewitched. Well, it used to be a big deal back in the 60s, and Samantha Stevens was this lady that was married to an advertising executive, Darren, and they lived across the street from this crazy lady named, I can't remember her name, Mrs. Kravitz, that was it. And her husband, Abner, and her would, Mrs. Kravitz would look out the window, and Mrs. Stevens, who was a witch, would basically make a spell or something, and some crazy unicorn would land on the front lawn, and Mrs. Kravitz, the nosy neighbor, would look over into the yard and basically go, Abner, look. And what would happen is, her husband thought she was crazy, so he would get up slowly and say, Alice, take it easy, it's okay, and she'd say, Abner, look. And he'd look out the window, and the unicorn would suddenly disappear just before he got there. So she would look like she was an idiot. So it was kind of a fun show. It had some good comedy in it. I think my favorite character in the Bewitched TV show was Aunt Clara. Aunt Clara was a very older woman who I guess we would have to think has a slight amount of dementia. But anyway, so here she is, she's an older witch, so she still has, powers or whatever. So what would happen is she would, for example, she'd want to appear at the front door of the Stevens house, and instead she would end up in the broom closet somewhere in their house. And so that's how she would come out. So it was just, always funny things that she was doing. And the show was well written. They thought about, let's make it comical but also interesting, and they did a great job. So anyway, if you ever get a chance to try a little Bewitched, it would be a fun thing for you, I think. Okay, so what else? What else is on my mind right now? Well, here we are, the 3rd of March. I don't know why, my birthday is in March, and it's coming up soon, and it seems like, I'm sort of like, what is it? I have PTSD COVID or something, so it's like, I always think, didn't we? Yeah, March is when they closed everything down. Yeah, March is when I was in the house for 2 months. Oh, yeah. So, I think that was still a little bit dystopian as far as I'm concerned. And I probably can't really talk about it here, because here we are in the United States of America, where we have the First Amendment, and we can say whatever we want as long as we don't call fire in a building. But yet, I think that's kind of a pretend thing that we're faking ourselves out with, because It's not free speech at all. I mean, you take Google. Okay, how did they get started? Sorry, I'm gonna, out them. Basically, they were military contracted through Darpa. So basically what you have is this company that's basically created and run by the Defense Advanced Research Project Administration, fronting themselves as a company that is, whatever you want to call it, just a private thing. Great idea. No. Made by the intel community, run by the intel community, and used as a surveillance mechanism, and basically all the information goes into the fusion centers, which is where the National Security Agency sort of compiles information so they know, there's a lot of Ron Paul supporters in this particular part of the country, something like that. So they could basically, supposedly not tell you who it is, but they would be able to know that there's a large concentration of certain kinds of people in various places. That's what they claim. Me, I'm sorry, I think that they have dossiers on everybody. We've had people in the community come out and say that that's the case, and had their hands slapped. So I'm very much convinced that every phone call that you make, in every conversation that you have where there's a phone within 20 feet, all that information is completely compiled and recorded and put under your name in a, now do they listen to it? Probably not. 99.9% of the time it's just stored. But if they ever wanted to go back and listen to it, they could. So it's like a forensic device that means that you can find out just about anything about anybody. So privacy's gone, folks. And I've heard the old line, I don't mind if they have everything about me and they listen to me all the time because I don't do anything against the law. It's like, okay, so that's the only reason that you want privacy? To me, I understand the idea of protecting us from quote-unquote terrorists that are usually, created by them. Sorry, I have to say it. Does anybody really believe that, right, I probably can't talk about that. We'll just say that thing that was going on over in Israel recently, that. Well, that group that came in there, they were actually created by the Mossad, which is Israeli intelligence. And so you basically have just, that was a false flag, no doubt about it. And it was designed basically, I think, probably there's a canal that goes through that area of the world known as Gaza. And that canal, they wanted to take over for a while. So they basically came up with a way to get the people moved out of the area so that they could start running that canal and use it as a transport location in that area of the world. So it's kind of a strategic spot that way. So it makes sense. But it's just so cold and awful. And, somebody just wants to make a bunch of havoc, like they're upset, they're throwing a tantrum, and this is, the Lahaina quote-unquote fires, otherwise known as dew. But anyway, that whole situation's crazy, along with nobody even talks about Acapulco. I mean, there was everybody goes to bed about 10 o'clock. They don't even know that there's a storm. It's a tropical storm anyway. Who cares? Within 3 hours, it becomes a Category 5. And here's the worst part, is it only covered like the area of Acapulco. And then it just disappeared. There was no rain, and it was gone. But it took out like every window in the town. So, some people think it was some sort of a warfare test, whatever, using the weather as a way to manipulate things. So, anyway,
buddy's calling me here, so I should probably get off. And
I will talk to you later. I didn't say it, did I? Well, I'll say it now. Earthlings, have a great day. Stay positive. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to